Before sunrise, Chicago woke up to sirens, flashing lights, and a federal operation unlike anything seen before. This is the story of how ICE, DEA, and FBI raided a massive migrant trafficking network and uncovered 4.3 tons of drugs hidden in plain sight. At 5:30 in the morning, while most of Chicago was still asleep, engines rumbled through thick fog. Federal vehicles rolled quietly into neighborhoods like Little Village, Cicero, Joliet, and Bridgeview. ICE tactical teams, backed by the DEA, FBI, Homeland Security, and Chicago Police, moved fast and without warning. Doors were breached, commands were shouted. Families stood frozen as agents announced federal warrants. This was not a routine operation. This was the beginning of Operation Midway Blitz. The operation was ordered after weeks of rising violence across the Midwest. Investigators noticed a troubling pattern. Drug seizures were increasing, illegal weapons were showing up in unexpected places, and intelligence reports suggested that illegal migration routes were used for more than just human smuggling. Something much bigger was happening under the surface. In just 2 weeks, more than 550 suspects were taken into custody. Many came from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Some had long criminal records. Others were newly arrived migrants with no history at all. But as the sun rose over Chicago, agents realized this was not just an immigration sweep. It was the first strike in a much larger war. Inside homes across Chicago's South Side, agents uncovered shocking evidence. Closets and basements held hidden compartments. Walls were thicker than normal, hiding secret rooms. Inside them were stacks of cash, fake passports, encrypted phones, and weapons wrapped in plastic. Drugs were everywhere. More than 180 pounds of methamphetamine, 62 kilos of cocaine, handguns, shotguns, and AR-15 style rifles, many marked with Mexican shipping codes. What started as enforcement turned into a full-scale cartel investigation. At the command center near Midway Airport, evidence piled up quickly. Laptops were still logged in, phones buzzed with messages written in short, cold sentences. Shipment confirmed, payment cleared. Analysts followed the digital trail south. The messages led back to Mexico, through Texas and Missouri, and straight into warehouses and safe houses in Chicago. By the end of the first day, investigators reached a chilling conclusion. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, also known as CJNG, had deeply infiltrated the Midwest. Illegal immigration was not just the movement of people, it was camouflage. Cartel couriers were hiding among families, workers, and asylum seekers. Their orders were simple: move drugs, move money, stay invisible. Within hours, the Department of Homeland Security raised the threat level. Tactical teams went on non-stop standby. FBI cyber units traced burner phones. Border Patrol intelligence linked the network to safe houses in Texas and Mexico. Red markers began flashing across the operations map. Warehouses, garages, a rail-side compound near Bridgeview. Every signal pointed to the same network. By early morning, a message arrived from Washington. Prepare for simultaneous strikes. At 3:42 a.m., the command center went silent. 5 targets, 5 teams, 1 order: execute. Armored convoys rolled through wet industrial streets. A DHS helicopter circled low, using infrared cameras to spot movement. At the first target, agents stacked against the steel door. A flashbang exploded. The raid was on. Inside, chemical fumes burned the air. Barrels labeled as industrial supplies leaked bright liquid across the floor. A gunman opened fire from above. Agents returned fire with precision. In under a minute, the threat was neutralized. The site was secure. Across the city, another team moved through a rail yard safe house. They found bulletproof vests, encrypted radios, and boxes of fentanyl pills disguised as candy. A hidden tunnel led to a van built for long-distance smuggling, with false panels designed to fool inspections. Then came the toughest fight. In Brighton Park, agents faced a fortified structure built like a bunker. Cartel enforcers fought back with military coordination. Grenades rolled across the floor. One exploded near the entrance, injuring an agent. A SWAT medic pulled him to safety as the team pushed forward. Shell casings hit the floor like rain. After intense fighting, the building was cleared. When the dust settled, the numbers told the real story. 4.3 tons of narcotics were seized. 37 firearms were recovered, including grenade launchers. 15 cartel suspects were captured alive, and not a single civilian was harmed. As dawn broke, armored trucks rolled back toward headquarters. Chicago was scarred, but breathing again. But the operation was far from over. Inside the command center, agents worked non-stop. Phones, laptops, and ledgers were analyzed one by one. What they uncovered was even more disturbing. This was not just a drug ring. It was a full criminal infrastructure built to blend into everyday American life. CJ&G had created a shadow economy inside Chicago. Fake storefronts, auto shops that fixed nothing, laundromats that never washed clothes, trucking depots that moved more cash than cargo. These businesses funneled money through small transfers, quietly sending millions to Mexico and beyond. Investigators noticed a pattern. For every group of migrants processed in the region, at least one had direct or indirect contact with cartel-linked employers. Some were paid to drive shipments, others acted as lookouts, some simply vanished after crossing the border. One investigator summed it up clearly: they did not just enter the country, they embedded themselves. They became ghosts. The federal response was fast and precise. FBI cyber units broke into encrypted devices. Homeland Security froze bank accounts across 7 states, seizing nearly $12 million. DEA chemists matched drug batches to labs previously found in Texas, proving a direct supply line from Mexico to the Midwest. Drones with thermal scanners swept industrial zones at night. Heat signatures revealed hidden compartments inside refrigerated trucks. In one case near Joliet, a semi-truck carried weapon parts and pill presses behind false walls. The driver was a 19-year-old undocumented migrant. He told agents he thought he was hauling legal goods. He was promised $500 and a chance at legal work. That detail changed everything. This was not just drug trafficking. It was human exploitation mixed with organized crime. Desperation was being used as a weapon. By the end of the week, 98 suspects were in custody. 12 were confirmed CJ&G operatives facing federal charges. More than 60 new warrants were issued across Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. Crates filled the evidence room, all labeled Operation Midway Blitz Phase 2. Public reaction was immediate and divided. Outside ICE headquarters in downtown Chicago, protests erupted as hundreds gathered with signs and chants. Activists claimed the raid swept up people with no criminal history, including parents, students, and factory workers. Churches offered shelter to frightened families, while immigration lawyers worked through the night to locate detainees. Critics called the operation political and fear-driven. Supporters called it necessary. Inside the command center, officials defended the mission. They said the focus was criminal networks, not communities, arguing cartel activity had already cost too many lives. Waiting, they said, was no longer an option. Homeland Security later confirmed the operation would expand into Indiana, Missouri, and Wisconsin, aiming to secure the nation's heartland before cartels could regroup. In the weeks that followed, Chicago felt quieter. Suspicious freight activity dropped and overdose cases declined. Still, analysts warned the threat was not gone. Cartels adapt, routes shift, and faces change. At the Midway Command Center, screens glowed around the clock, each marker representing a lead or a life potentially saved. Officials publicly called Operation Midway Blitz a success, while privately preparing for what came next. This was not just an immigration mission, it was national defense. Operation Midway Blitz sent a clear warning: criminal networks hiding behind chaos were no longer invisible. The fight continues, but for one night in Chicago, the balance shifted. If you believe stories like this matter, share your thoughts in the comments and stay informed. Subscribe for more real-world breakdowns of major operations shaping America today.